Warning, the following video contains spoilers. If you don't want this episode spoiled for you, switch the video off now. And Mirio has fallen into the river in Lego City. Start the rescue frog! I can't be the only one that thought of that when I saw Miro's little head bobbing along down the river. But what about you, dear listener? Is there anything about this week's episode that stuck out to you in a good, bad or weird way? Let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves or towards the end of next week's video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do, because it'll do me a power of good. As for this week's episode of My Hero Academia, the debut episode of a brand new season, I have to say that going into this episode I was incredibly nervous. I'd heard a rumour that this week's episode was just going to be a clip show. It was essentially just going to be a recap of everything that we'd seen in the previous series with a little narration by Midori, and that's pretty much all it was going to be. Maybe towards the end of the episode there'd be a little bit of a teaser of what's going to be coming along, but thankfully we didn't get that. Now I do understand that this is an episode which is anime exclusive, which is to say that bar a couple things here and there, this is an episode which is not adapting or referencing the manga really at all. It's its own unique thing, much like last season's opening episode. And unlike last season's opening episode, I think this episode does what that episode was trying to do far more effectively. The whole point of this week's episode is to be an opener, to be a refresher, for us to see, hear and to get reintroduced to our cast of characters, because it's been a year for many of us, and for some people this is their first ever episode watching My Hero Academia. As such, it's there to set the stage, set the stall, and let us know more about these characters, more about what makes them tick, and of course what their powers are. And it does that in an incredibly fantastic way by actually showing us that. The opening episode from last year's season was just a bunch of exposition with a whole central plot which in any other TV series would have been a major development, but was just kind of shrugged off because it's just filler. And whilst this episode itself is technically just filler, it's thrilling filler. It does the job and it is incredibly entertaining for what it is. Granted, again, in the grand scheme of things, nothing in this episode really changes the status quo, and as far as I'm aware, there is no sudden hidden scene towards the end of the episode which sets up this season coming forward. I say as far as I'm aware because the truth of the matter is that my internet, for whatever reason, when I'm watching these episodes, can get incredibly problematic. So there may have been a scene where some shadowy figure appeared from the darkness and said,
"Oh, the plan is going ahead just as we thought, but there may be another."
There wasn't anything like that as far as I'm aware because, you know, my internet can be a bit tricky and I have missed out on scenes like that in the past. What I'll certainly say for this episode's favour is it does use its ensemble incredibly well. One of the things I praised this series over in my big initial impressions video about a year ago was how it was able to have such a large ensemble cast and make them all feel sufficiently developed and always gave them something to do. Of course, we then went into a season where it just kind of focused down on only about a handful of them, which kind of made me seem like a bit of a crazy person, but you know what, I've been called worse things over the years, but you know what, it's glad to see all our cast doing stuff, and as far as I can tell, the big opening up for this year's season is going to be something that's going to see all our cast of characters doing stuff, as well as characters from Class 1B, so that's always good as far as I'm concerned. In the grand scheme of things, this is a perfectly fine episode. It gets a grade, it gets a thumbs up from me. It is a good, solid episode. Yes, if you want to be mean and you want to be stingy, this is an episode that you could skip because there's nothing in it which is really of massive substance. No major revelations or anything like that, but it's still a good one in my book. This episode, this review for this week is a short one because there's not much to say other than it's a good one. So with that all said and done, let's just skip forward to my big fancy exit outro screen. Woo! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye!